Winston Peters is kindly with us. He's been very busy offshore. Thanks for joining us, the Deputy Prime Minister and New Zealand First Leader at Te Tuakana Tēnākoe.
Kia ora, good morning, and thanks for having me on.
It's good to have you back in New Zealand. You've been very busy, with visiting the UN General Assembly. You make a point of being there, obviously in a world where people can work virtually. Nothing really can replace the ā-kānui approach face-to-face. As such, that's your style, yeah?
There's no doubt about it. You can have all the Zooms and you can have all the phone calls and emails, anything you like, but face-to-face is a much more useful way of proceedings because body language is important. And body language, including in the delegation that you might be with, it's something you can read a lot of times and get come to conclusions about things because you can see the way that your message is being received. So it's seriously important, yes.
Do you think they know you're a Māori?
Yeah, of course they do. Look, the reality is we have a number of Māori on our delegations a lot of the time, and it helps immensely because you get sort of familiarity cut through. Just by whether you're in Asia, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in the Pacific, it helps. But it's not everything, of course, but it just helps, and why wouldn't it be? If I was going to a conference about women's issues, I think I'd be wise to take a woman, wouldn't I?
Tēnākoe, I guess so. You might mention that to David. Let's move on because there's a number of things I'd like to touch on today. There's the
Might mention to who?
I can't remember. Some bloke. Anyway, what about the Tribunal? It's 49 years old today. Established this day in 1975. But of course, you would know that. Yes,
I do.
And tell me, is it still fit for purpose? Could it be better? Is there any mood to disestablish it?
No, it's not fit for purpose anymore. It has got right outside of its mandate. It is making up the laws as it goes along. They recently had a hearing, which received a petition about Maori rights in outer space. Now, around about then, you've got to ask yourself, this is just a make-work scheme. I am for the tribunal having a proper role, doing it properly, as many others envisaged and never opposed it at the time. But when it gets out of control, where it's starting to say, we are the law, we make the decisions whether we're elected or not, then you know that things are not right. And I don't care what their judicial background is, they have to accept, we all have to accept, the constitutional framework of this country is constructed by the people through their parliamentarians. And it has history to it, going all the way back to 6th of February 1840. And again, they're starting to make up frameworks for what that meant as well, even though during that famous case, you recall, in the 1980s, the three judges wrestled about the principles and couldn't make a decision on it. So you see what's happened? If they couldn't make a decision, how come today's judiciary is making decisions? And all those decisions do not have any consistency. They do not align. And it's just not right for this country. That's what I'm saying. To say the system, that the tribunal was wrong in its original construct. But it doesn't take long for things to go out of hand and go off the track, so to speak, and that's what's happened.
Tēnākoe. Well, the disestablished Taka Whai order, are you pushing for the same for the tribunal? And if so, I mean, what would you advocate to replace it?
Yeah, but we haven't advocated for its replacement. We've advocated, Shane Jones and I, we've advocated for its being straightened out and do the job it was set up to do and not become a make-work scheme. They are hearing cases about government policy, for goodness sake, and they're utterly wrong about that. They've got no mandate as some sort of unelected upper house to decide on government policy, a bit like in Congress and the Senate in the United States. Well, the Senate's elected, but they're not, this tribunal, and they're only a tribunal. You get my point here? When will some of our people get a fix on what they're dealing with? Because in the age of Ngāta, Pomare and Buck, and dare I say Carroll, they understood with great clarity what they were facing, and we need to do the same.
They might have fought for it to have binding powers.
Oh, no. There you go.
Okay.
No, here we go. No,
okay, come on now.
Who was it that said, don't ratify the Treaty of Waitangi because it can be abolished the next day? His name was Apana Ngata. He said that. Now, look, I think some of our people should start listening in the way the elders did to their seniors and to their elders and not just make it up at the university sociology department.
Okay,
But thank you for raising it, though.
There'll be plenty of discussion going forward. Look, there's some important kaupapa on the table, obviously. There's AUKUS, there's Gaza, there's Fast Tracks, Manawanui, the AGM this weekend, and Mike King's Charity. Take your pick.
Well, Mike King's Charity, that complaint from the Auditor General has to be read. Because when you read it, you ask yourself, well, what are you actually saying, Auditor General? Because if you want to know about the process, it was called the election. We went out and campaigned for it day after day and over a year, saying we need to help these people. We were in an environment where, under Twyford and the Labour Party, they'd spent $900 million on so-called road to zero suicides and mental health care, and all they've done is built 5 hospital beds. That's the environment I would say to you, you're looking at. So please don't tell us that we didn't go out and ask the people. And the difference was not $900 million, it was a total $24 million over a number of years. It is a pittance compared to what they were spending and wasting. That's my question. My question to the Auditor General was, where was your report then? You get to the point? 24 million versus 900 million. Which one needed an investigation? Well, I never saw it.
Tēnā koe. The Manawanui. Just have to wait for the report here. It's somewhat embarrassing, bearing in mind our broken down Hercules as well.
Well, the broken down Hercules ran into some birds and had to come back and get fixed up. That's not a broken down plane. That's a brand new plane just had a slight event. About the second thing is that Ron, Mark, and I, we are tearing our hairs out because we've got that boat. It was a great purchase. The Norwegians threw in a lot of extras to make it the boat it was. And, we have to wait the inquiry now, and we can't say much about it. But are we devastated and disappointed? In the extreme.
Thank you. Fast track legislation, 149 projects. Of course, the headlines on RNZ, I might add, is that there's been 500 grand's worth of donations from people associated with those projects. I've heard it described as jobs for the boys. What do you make of it?
500 grand? Let me ask you this. Where would that money be? Because I can't see that any accountability on that, and there's been no declarations of that, but I don't think it's true. I know that other parties have got a lot of money, but then 500 grand, that's an incredible amount of money to have got in the campaign from one party, or one grant, so to speak. But here's the reality of it all. Remember 17 fast-track pieces of legislation in recent times by David Parker? Nobody else complained about it. We thought it was a good idea to actually stop this retarded process and speed things up. There was a supermarket that had waited 28 years for it to be approved. You can't make progress if that's what's going on. And so the fast-track idea was one that we supported when David Parker was doing it, and we still do. You see the difference, though? Did you see the media jumping up and down then? No, not a word, not a mutter, not a murder, not a syllable, not a sound. But when we do it, it's the sky's falling in. I wish they'd stop their darn bias.
You are a very strong media personality. You can understand why the media might get into you a little bit, though, Winston. No,
I can't understand how they got smashed by the Serious Fraud Office applications. That cost the taxpayer $4.2 million, and the Serious Fraud Office got smashed not once, not twice, but 3 times, and the media still wouldn't print one word of our victory. Yes, I get into the media because they are biased in the extreme. They are not deserving of their position in a democracy. They are so essential to democracy. And unlike your program, where you hear both sides of the story, they just decide to gaslight you out.
Better shut them down.
No, I'm not going to shut them down. They're shutting themselves down because nobody's watching and listening anymore. They've had enough. People have moved on.
They should be watching the AGM. What are you going to come out with this weekend? Chief, what's going to can we give us an inside line to some of your thinking for this weekend?
We're going to celebrate the work of people who, almost a third of a century ago, put together a political party against all the cynicism and all the doubt and all the opposition of the system, and has been the most successful third party in this country's recent history. I'm going to thank them profusely for what they've done and for doing the impossible against huge odds when the whole system was set against them. The 2023 campaign, you saw meeting after meeting with the media place is packed wall to wall, but not one media journalist covering it. That's what we're up against, and I'm going to thank them for that, and then set out what our plan is to turn this country back to what it should be, the kind of country that used to be a world leader, and how we're going to do some of those things. That's what the conference is about. And we've now already sold out as far as the delegates go. We can't take any more. And the Sunday meeting is packed already, so we can't take any more of that as well. So it's going to be a great conference.
You should take great pride in what you've been able to achieve in that regard. But you know that the kumara should never speak of its own sweetness.
That's the truth. That's the biggest disadvantage we've got. There's the Maori people say the kumara never says how sweet it is. And it's the biggest difficulty in politics because you've got to remind people what you've done. You've got to remind all those Maori kuia out there and elders out there, who gave you the gold card? Who gave you free doctor's visits? Who started kapahaka? Is anybody saying that these days? Who was the guy that went out and got the money for kapahaka and now it's such a success story? Or who was there when the Maori language was first funded by Muldoon at the meeting that was put on, that the Maori, the New Zealand Maori Council had funded by Whina Cooper? Who was there when all those things happened? I'm looking at other parties, they're all bull dust about what they've done, but they got no record of performance. Who gave back Mount Hikurangi? Who settled the North Island's tribal deal? Who settled the West Coast leases? Do you remember who that guy was? Well, we've got to tell them. We have to say how sweet we are, mate. Because nobody else will.
I'm penciling each question. I'm penciling them down. They all seem to lead to one party.
That's right.
Let's leave it there.
Hey. Who put the Maori Women's Welfare League on a separate economic footing when they were leasing their places all those years? One minister said, no, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to buy your place, a permanent place in your name right now. You will not come to the government on your knees asking for money to rent a new place. Who did that? Well, you're talking to him.
Okay. I'm sure it'll go well. It'll be feisty and fun. But, you know, and I do sometimes make light of politics because, you know, people do come and go. You've seen it all your career. We're just talking about education and politicians described as educational tourists because they're in and gone again. But there's one thing that has remained pretty stable, and that's Winston Peters and politics. I think you're more famous than Billy Peters.
You think if I could play the guitar like that and sing, I'd be in this game? No, Billy's very famous. A lovely couple, those two are. But, well, the reality is we're in for the long haul and real battles. I just watched them today and I'm gobsmacked at the arrogance some of these people are dancing around there with a moko on their face from them, given by themselves, never conferred on them in most unusual circumstances. Standing there, we're sitting there in Parliament with bare feet and T-shirts on, and I think, what a disgrace. Ask my Maori elders, what would they think of that? They'd say it was a shame. Just no standards anymore, you know. So, yeah, of course we're going to last.
Good talking with you again, Chief. Thanks very much, Winston. Appreciate the time you spend with us. Ngā mihi.
Thank you.
Okay.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.